Welcome to today's Explainer. We are going to be unpacking a truly fascinating concept drawn directly from Chapter 3 of Ryuho Okawa's insightful book, The Laws of Courage. We're going to explore the absolute secret to maintaining eternal mental youth. It's a concept the author calls the hungry spirit. Now, if you've ever felt yourself kind of settling into a comfortable routine, or maybe felt that spark of curiosity dimming just a bit as you get older, this analysis is going to completely reframe how you look at aging, learning, and personal growth. Okay, to kick things off, I want to highlight this incredibly direct, powerful quote from the text that really sets our mindset for today. Never give up means never giving up. Now, I know it sounds super simple, maybe even a bit obvious, right? But the author uses this to hammer home a really vital truth. True youth isn't about biology. It's not about how many years you've been on this earth. It's actually about an unwavering resolve to never surrender to stagnation. It is a conscious, daily decision to just keep pushing forward.
So what exactly does the source material mean by a hungry spirit? We usually associate hunger with, skipping lunch or maybe the ambition of a young professional fresh out of college, but the text completely flips this. It defines it as a relentless psychological drive. It's that persistent, nagging feeling of, I am not full yet, regardless of whether you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or beyond. It's the total refusal to accept the status quo, treating every single stage of life as a brand new starting line.
Here is our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to cover the mind-body connection, turning will into habit, moving from school to reading, balancing intensive and extensive reading, and finally, books for repeated reading. Let's dive right in.
First up, the mind-body connection, or how we actually go about fueling that hungry spirit.
You know how in your 20s, your body just kind of works? We have this natural, abundant physical strength, so the mind-body connection is super easy to take for granted. You can pull an all-nighter, study intensely, and just bounce right back. But as we move into our 30s, 40s, and 50s, that effortless energy definitely fades. The text makes it absolutely clear that as adults, we must put in active, conscious effort to train our bodies. Because if you don't actively fight that natural physical decline, your mental decline is going to drag right along with it.
In fact, the author issues a pretty stark warning here. It is incredibly easy for studious, intellectual people to become physically weak simply because they neglect to exercise. But if you let that physical foundation crumble, your intellectual activity will inevitably slow down and eventually just stop altogether. To keep your mind razor sharp, your body absolutely has to be capable of supporting that intellectual weight.
Moving to Section 2, Turn Will into Habit. This is all about automating your growth.
Now you might be thinking, how on earth do I sustain this grueling balance of physical and mental training for my whole life without totally burning out? Well, relying purely on motivation is a guaranteed recipe for exhaustion. But the text gives us a great playbook for this. It starts with sheer willpower, pushing yourself to start when you really don't want to. That leads to consistent effort, where you're just battling that daily friction. But the magic happens at step 3, habit. The author introduces this brilliant idea of relying on the law of inertia for your own growth. Once that effort becomes an ingrained habit, the struggle literally disappears. It feels effortless. You've basically converted your willpower into an automated system that feeds your hungry spirit on autopilot.
All right, Section 3, From School to Reading, which is really the ultimate form of adult study.
So once we have the physical foundation and those automated habits locked in, how do we actually apply this energy? Well, there's a massive paradigm shift that happens after graduation. Think about it. School study relies on textbooks, cramming for tests, and memorization. But adult study is fundamentally different. It relies entirely on strategic reading. And the text emphasizes a great point here. You don't need to frantically speed read thousands of books a year to be successful. That's a total myth. Adult study is about focused, strategic reading designed to build a lasting intellectual foundation and really expand your personal horizons.
Which brings us nicely to Section 4, intensive and extensive balance, the two main pillars of reading.
To truly master adult study, we need to use two very different but highly complementary approaches. First, you have intensive reading. This is your deep, slow, careful reading to build true expertise in your specific professional field. You have to dig deep to become a pro, right? But on the flip side, there's extensive reading. This is broad, fast, exploratory reading across tons of different genres. Think of it as your radar. It expands your horizons, shifts your mood, and pulls in diverse information from completely outside your usual bubble. Balancing these two is absolutely crucial.
The author points out that if you rely purely on extensive reading, just skimming the bunch of light, easy books, your knowledge is going to be terribly shallow. You won't be a true intellectual. But if you only read intensively in one tiny, narrow field, you become really rigid and inflexible. Balancing both is what allows you to truly digest complex information, keep your curiosity alive, and maintain a remarkably healthy appetite for lifelong learning.
Finally, Section 5, Books for Repeated Reading. This is all about finding the one.
So this actually reveals the true purpose behind all that broad, extensive reading we just talked about. Ultimately, it's a search mechanism. You read widely so your mental antenna can catch a signal. You are actively searching for that one rare, life-changing masterpiece that is genuinely worthy of being revisited over and over again. And the truth is, you simply can't find those masterworks unless you cast a really wide net. When you finally find that special book, an incredibly beautiful, transformative process begins. You read it once, and it resonates deeply, but you don't just stick it back on the shelf. You pick it up again 1 year later, then maybe 2 years later. Over the span of several years, you might read this single book 5 to 10 times. By doing this, the author explains that this profound wisdom slowly permeates your mind. It totally bypasses simple memorization and actually becomes your own flesh and blood. It becomes the very bedrock of your judgment and your character.
So I want to leave you with this provocative question to chew on today as you continue your own journey of growth. Take a hard look at your own goals, look into your future, and ask yourself, what is the single book that will sustain your hungry spirit for an entire lifetime? Keep searching, keep reading, and whatever you do, never, ever give up that hunger.